Not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And this one right here, I'm going to talk about religion. Like a lot of intellectuals and pseudo-intellectuals and wannabe intellectuals, I looked at religion as a bunch of hocus pocus. You know, believing in the unseen was completely ridiculous. But then, being a macrocosmic thinker that I am, I had to really reevaluate my stance. And it was a passage in the book, the Little Universe of Man, written by C.D. Arlington, that really had my mind pondering. Hold up. Such beliefs and rituals held the tribe together, morally, economically, genetically, and explaining their unified ancestral origins, and sustaining them against their fear of the unpredictable forces of the external world, their fear of nature, of other men, and of the dead. Now, this is about, you know what I'm saying, the Paleolithic men or early men, you know what I'm saying, tribal men, you know what I'm saying, why did they concoct this notion of religion? You know what I'm saying? And that's interesting. Now, one thing about the atheist, I was never feeling the atheist movement. I feel like they're turning their movement into religion. The thing is, people have said, well, it can't be a religion because they don't believe in a higher power. They don't believe in a higher deity. But, you know what I'm saying, rules can be broken. I'm like, you can have a company and then maybe this company doesn't have a CEO, but they're still trying to push their product. You see what I mean? See, you know, throughout my years, I have friends with all sorts of kooky beliefs. I had one friend of mine who believed that we were created in test tubes by space aliens. Had one friend of mine believe that we were all figments of a little child's imagination somewhere, so forth. Now, as crazy as these beliefs are, you know, they never went around pushing them off on people like, hey, this is the way it is. And the way these atheists, you know, are just trying to convince people that, you know what I'm saying, it's ridiculous. But I still want to go into the notion of why do people choose to believe in any sort of religion? Whether it's, you know, they're brainwashed Judeo-Christian, or you look at these tribal people with their beliefs and so forth, their tiki gods and totem poles. And so, but you know, let me get into the meat of it. The black Christian. No, the brainwashed black Christian. Why do we bow to the guy of our conquerors and so forth? That's a good question. Now the thing is, with Christianity, the same people who conquered us with it were also conquered by other nations. Hence, you know, the Western Europe. Europe was eventually taken over by Rome, especially when Rome adopted the ideas of Judeo-Christianity. Yes, the Romans used to castrate the Christians, and then they indoctrinated their beliefs, and then they went around and castrated anybody who weren't Christians. You know what I'm saying? It was just the guys to go out and really conquer and feel good about themselves. So hence, as Judeo-Christianity was forced down our throats by people that at one point in time it was forced down their throats. I think about the Irish, you know, and you know, Catholicism and St. Patrick's. See, a lot of Irish people don't know that St. Paddy was an Englishman. No, and he was a Catholic. You know, and the Irish people were just straight pagans. You know, just like everybody else was at one time. Now we get holiday for Ireland. Because Ireland are just people that were just they held more to their pagan beliefs than others. That's why St. Patrick just had to indoctrinate a lot of their pagan customs and symbols in that religion, because he knew he couldn't get rid of them, like the shamrock and so forth. Now all that green, you know what I'm saying? Pagans used to don a lot of green everywhere. In Scotland and England, that Scandinavia, that's what pagans do. You know, it wasn't just the Irish thing. So when you see the Irish with their green, they're really holding on to their pagan roots. But you know, St. Patrick was a Catholic who forced Catholicism down the throat of Irish people and so forth. But the thing is, a lot of these guys, you know, when they get brainwashed or whatever to these religions, they make these religions work for them. You know what I'm saying? They make it work for them on an economic basis. They go out there and conquer and gain more wealth. And I think that's the thing. Blacks hasn't made Christianity work for us as a whole. Yeah, maybe a select few have gotten rich over it, but as a whole, no, it hasn't done much for her. Some people may say that it has made us poor and so forth. And the thing is, you know what I'm saying, with that, you know, with blacks and Christianity and Catholicism, you know, the thing is, you know what I'm saying, the oldest religion is voodooism. And I've made a stark comparison in one of my videos on how black people practice Christianity, you know what I'm saying, and and how similar it is to how black people that practice voodooism. Here, let me roll that clip. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my classics I put together. And I tell you right now, if I'm going to convert to any religion, it'll probably be voodooism. I understand that there's some sort of a spiritual power there. Now, maybe we can't put our finger on it, but we just haven't let Christianity just benefit us as a people in whole. Now, I understand its roots. I understand in Ethiopia, you know what I'm saying, they say the origin started in Ethiopia, and there's this temple there where these Ethiopians got a hold of these holy manuscripts, these scrolls that the Jews to this day that are trying to captivate, you know what I'm saying, capture. But for some reason, I don't know if it's mystical powers or whatever, is keeping the Jews at bay, you know what I'm saying, because they really want to get a hold of this stuff. And the Ethiopians, to them, it's sacred, you know what I'm saying. They won't put a price tag on it. I'm pretty sure if they want to sell it or whatever, they'll get, you know, but it's more valuable than any money. So I understand that you know, when people say the origins of Christianity, where did it begin? Now, there's a book. And then there's people who talk about, well, did Jesus Christ, did he really live? Or Yahweh? Now we understand that, yeah, he's been over-exaggerated as this Messiah walking on water or whatever and dying for our sins. Yeah, I don't believe that for 1 second. But did he exist? Now some people say, well, if he exists, then he would have been recorded in history at some time. But there was a book written called The Holy Blood, Holy Grail. And from my knowledge, and I've read this book, and from my knowledge, it wasn't written by Bible-thumping Christians. If anything, the church and these theologians condemned this book because they were dropping some truth. And in this book, they do go into, put a strong argument that Jesus, Yahweh, or, you know, that he existed, you know, and he got married, he has kids, and he has a family. Matter of fact, the movie The Da Vinci Code kind of grafted their ideas from this book. That's why the creators of this book wanted to kind of like sue the movie The Da Vinci Code. Hence, when that movie came out, it didn't surprise me. You know, everybody was talking, it was the buzz or whatever. I've already read this book, Holy Blood, Holy Grail. I keep my nose in books. So what that movie's like, you know, what that movie was saying, what they were saying in that movie, Da Vinci Code, at that point was old news. But hence, did Yahweh walk this earth? Now in that book it talked about this group called the Cathars. And this Cathars followed Jesus' daughter. Jesus' daughter was a very dark-skinned, you know what I'm saying, dark-skinned woman. And you know, these Cathars worshipped her. And the Cathars, who lived in a society in southern France, that was this society was very influenced by some Ethiopians, and I forgot the sect of these Ethiopians' name. But they have a society where men and women were equal, and that's why they say what the pentagram means. You know what I'm saying? The pentagram, what they say it's the devil. But it represents the unity between man and women. And, you know what I'm saying, the Catholic Church and the powers that be didn't like that. That's why they condemned this to be a completely satanic symbol and so forth. Now, the Pope at that time wanted to massacre the Cathars. And so I think his name was Pope Innocent. Innocent meaning his last name. And the Pope's soldiers or whatever, his men were like, okay, we're going to go in there and wipe these people out. How do we differentiate the Cathars from the regular Christians? You know, because the Cathars didn't wear any sort of distinguishable dress. You know what I'm saying? That was just their following. So, and the Pope was like, kill them all and let God sort them out. Hence, that's where that's a little bit of trivia for you. That's where that term comes from. Kill them all and let God sort them out. Oh, but, okay, now we're going to go into the black church. Now, I would say one thing. The black Christian will out-Christian the white Christian. The black Muslim will out-Muslim the Arab Muslims. Or the Persian Muslims, as they say. Now, one thing I can respect about Islam and the Persians, when they went around conquering and so forth, and in a lot of cases, when the black African, and you know what I'm saying, we can debate on the origins of Islam. Did black people create it, or was it created by the Persians and so forth? But that when a lot of the black sub-Saharan African tribes, well, you know what I'm saying, but you know, black people were all over Africa. You know what I'm saying, the Persians just took over northern Africans because the Persians come from the Caucasus Mountains, just like all Caucasians do. At least when the blacks converted to Islam, the Persians left them alone, and they said, "Okay, you're our brothers. Let's go and conquer these other Gentiles." As if it's not like Christians, when white Christians conquered these darker nations, even though they converted to Christianity or converted to Catholicism, the white people still thought they was better than them. Hence, here's a pinhead quotable for you, and I said this before. On a scientific level, white people put themselves higher on the evolutionary chain. On a religious basis, white people put themselves closer to God. This is what makes white people the biggest hypocrites, religious hypocrites ever. Hence, if black people have adopted to your religion and have converted to Christianity, at that point, first of all, you shouldn't, you know what I'm saying, you shouldn't castrate anybody that that doesn't, you know what I'm saying, that don't share your beliefs. But if you do, if you get this mind state and say that, you know what I'm saying, that people adopt your way of Christianity and you should allow them in your society as productive members. But with black people, no. You know, don't matter how much thumping and Bible reading we do and praising Jesus and all the hallelujahs in the world will not gain us acceptance into white society, you know, and so forth. But whites, especially the Conservative Party and the Libertarians, know that they need a religious basis. They need to stick to their religious basis, because if they don't, they feel that everything will fall apart. And the thing is, with Jesus Christ and God, if you study their scenes, you know that Jesus, whether you believe in him or not, just by reading his statements in the Bible, I'm like, he's a socialist. God is a socialist. I'm like, what do they say? They say it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man through the gate to the gates of heaven. When Jesus broke bread and split it up, that fish, between 200 people or whatever, 2,000 people, or whatever that number is, I'm like, that's socialism is at its core. So it's all these a Christian capitalist that's contradicting. Now, those are two contradicting beliefs and so forth. But America is just a nation with Christian ideologies, because just like any nation, any sort of tribe, they need some sort of spiritual foundation. Even if they really honestly don't believe it, and they only using it for almost economic gains and so forth. And the thing is with blacks, as I said it before, we haven't used it to our advantage as a whole. Now, I understand the origins of the black church here in America, that they were doing a lot of black speaking there. There was a whole lot of that whole Marcus Garvey movement was infiltrating the black church, and a lot of black people were talking about politics, and the white man was the devil. It started off in the black church. That's why the Ku Klux Klan was bombing it, and so forth. And the thing is, there was a lot of informants in the black community. Always these buck dancers, these brainwashers, these race traders, as you would say. And yes, the Ku Klux, even in J.A. Rogers' book, he stated that there were black people, black informants, black infiltrators that worked for the Ku Klux Klan secretly. It shows you how messed up and discombobulated a lot of black people's thinking were. And they'll go to these churches and they'll run to the white man and say, "Hey man, they're talking some that Marcus Garvey jive," and they'll bomb them. Now, as I've stated, nowadays it's like, but I understand why the church is here. I'm like, back, even back in slavery, there were two things that the white man would allow the black man to progress in. And that's the world of entertainment, making himself look like a buffoon, and his people look like buffoons, which they still do today heavily. And the church, they'll let a black dude excel if he's going to brainwash other black Christians and so forth. And this just snowballed now in the 21st century. And I see these behemoth-sized churches in these poor neighborhoods. And people say that these church ain't doing nothing. Like, you got all this crime all around. I'm like, yeah, the church. That's not the church's job. The church, whether it be the black church or the white church, the American church in this country, because I'm tired of people just looking at the black community as some isolated island, as its own republic. No, the black community, white people got their hands all in the black community. So hence, the black church has failed the black community, and the white church has failed the black community, because it was the white church that turned over black Christians and so forth, have turned black people out. But I do understand now that when I'm dealing with these die-hard Christians, that sometimes it's it's hard to turn them over. It's hard to preach for them and tell them that, hey, what you're believing in is a complete farce. Because most people want some sort of spiritual foundation and so forth. And now I'm becoming more open-minded. Like, I used to mess around with this female, and she was in just a straight church fanatic. And even though she accepted me that I didn't go to church, I would just she just hated when I just make snipes and snares at her religious beliefs, to the point where she left me alone. And she's, you know what I'm saying, because I guess, you know, her God comes before anything. And I understand it's hard to, you know what I'm saying, dissuade people. So I just